Today on Dice to Pixels, we're going to be talking about some Xbox rumors, the new South Park game, and a couple other things that we've been playing. Stick with us.
New South Park game?
Yeah, which
It's a thing.
it's, yeah.
It's a snow day!
There are some reviews. I've played it a bit. I have thoughts, but we're actually going to get to that in just a minute. Because first,
son of a bitch.
I'm going to tell you quickly. This one should be pretty quick. It's Adrian's Orders. So 007 GoldenEye for the N64. This one's a very popular game. A lot of people might already know this story. Nintendo, when the studio made it, they did it pretty much in isolation for the first. Basically, they created the entire game in isolation and then took it to show Nintendo. And Nintendo thought that it was like way too violent. Now, supposedly the first version of it was actually more violent than what we got, like substantially. It had like gore effects and everything else. So fair. But one of the proposed solutions from a Nintendo exec was at the post-credit scene, like at the very end of the game, to have Bond in a hospital going to each of the enemies that had been like killed during the game to show that they weren't actually killed. They were just wounded and going around and like shaking all of their. This was a legitimate suggestion from Nintendo on how to like tone down the violence of the game.
Did they work for Disney at some point?
I thought it was a joke, but this has been like, I have found many sources that say this is the case, and nobody's ever denied it. It appears that this is legitimately a thing that happened. So a compromise, you may or may not remember, at the very end of GoldenEye, after sort of the credits with the kiss scene and everything else, was what can only be described as like movie credits for each of the characters. So there was like 006 and then like the name, and with the animated character doing like an action pose sort of thing. That was meant to tell the player that the entire thing was actually a movie. You were just reenacting a movie, and this was the compromise from the studio to basically like, get the fuck out of here with your stupid goddamn idea. How about we do this instead? And apparently that was good enough. So that is why there's those weird fucking movie credit things at the end of 007.
I wonder how many people actually thought that.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I thought that was pretty wild. Just the idea of like, oh no, everybody was just wounded and he's there shaking their hands in the hospital. It's like, come on, you fucking idiots.
It's like Batman or Badman, I guess it is.
Yeah.
They're just sleeping.
Oh, yeah, the other one. Your parents are dead. No, they're sleeping.
That's right.
It reminds me of when the first Mortal Kombat came to consoles, and Sega had, out of the two, performance-wise, the Super Nintendo one was better, but the Sega one had the code for the blood, right?
Yes.
Whereas it was sweat.
That's right. Yeah.
Sweat.
Yeah. Just red sweat. Don't worry about it.
Sweat that looked an awful lot like piss.
Yeah.
Ew.
So yeah, anyways, that's today's story. I thought that was amusing. It's a short one, but I'd heard lots of things about 007. I knew lots of like things of GoldenEye, but I had never heard that one before.
That's
Damn.
delightful.
Yeah. So that's fun. And then so moving on to South Park, which is a game that does not stay, well, okay, they actually do stay away from the violence, but super crude game.
Yeah.
So the reviews are in, pretty mixed. A lot of people are like, there's definitely some reviewers that appear to have been bought off. I say appear to cover myself for legal reasons, because like they gave this game like way too good a rating. And some of them were really dumb. Like I read one review from somebody who was comparing it to like the Super Nintendo South Park game or something. Like clearly hadn't played
the N64 one.
Yeah, like it hadn't played Stick of Truth or Fractured Butthole or anything, and was like comparing it to. It's like, the fuck are you reviewing this game for if you haven't even played the previous two that it's based on?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's literally tied into into those games.
It starts with like Cartman giving you a lecture as the new kid. Well, actually, it starts with an absolutely glorious like 5-minute South Park episode about the snow day, which is just so good.
Nice.
But then like Cartman is giving you the new kid like a lecture about how somebody broke the last game's rules that they played by getting too OP, and somebody broke and so like it's very much a follow on, and so to review it without even like comparing it or contrasting it to those games is like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Who paid you for this review? But anyways, so it does not stack up favorably to the last two games. Lots of people have said this. It is going to 3D was fine. The control scheme is fine. I saw a lot of people talking about how like, oh, the named characters like Cartman and Kyle and stuff don't really have much of a role in the game, and it's like that's fucking nonsense. They're all throughout the game. I don't know what game these people played. But that said, like you don't run into the adults a lot, partly because it's a snow day. They're all like an apocalyptic snow day. Like they're all indoors. It's only the kids that are dumb enough to be out playing in it.
Dumb enough to play it. I was one of those freaking kids.
Well, so I say that if you watch, I'm not going to spoil the intro to the game, but when you watch the like 5-minute prelude episode, it's like, okay, no, these kids are fucking psychotic. But yeah, like the setup's great. The game itself is fine. It's super, super short, like really short. People are saying about 5 hours of playtime.
Really?
I think
that explains the price tag then.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a lie. I'd say it's a little bit longer than that, but it is not a meaty game. Like it's over quickly. Yeah, like it's fine, but it doesn't have the same sort of. The other games felt bigger than they were. Like there was the whole joke with Canada, and there was like all the Easter eggs, and this didn't really have much of that. It was at least not that I found.
Yeah. One of the things from the trailers, because Chad and I haven't played it yet, that actually did, I think for Chad as well, turn off a little bit from it was the fact that it was a 3D game and just the art direction that it took.
The style of the game. The second I watched that trailer, I right away I'm like, I'm not buying this.
I get that, and I actually was not looking forward to the art direction of the game, but I got over it pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I'm also like a monster South Park fan. Like I fucking love South Park, but it reminded me a lot of like that N64 game, and I was just
That's probably why it was compared to.
Yeah.
I think what saves it is, although the graphics do have that sort of like cartoonish 3D to it, which I mean is fair given the source material. The responsiveness is there. Like it is a responsive game. It plays smoothly. It plays well. At least on the Series X. I haven't tried it on. Well, the PC played great as well. But I think that's what saves it for me. Because I didn't think I would be into the art direction at all, but I kind of got over it really quickly. And I think it's because it's a very responsive game. It feels good. It feels modern, even if it doesn't look super modern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, personally for me, whether or not it looks modern isn't the issue. Since South Park itself has that distinct cut paper look to it, and then the other two games also carried on that style. This direction just, I think, confused me right from the start, which Absolutely. I mean, considering the style of the game, it makes sense. It's just...
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I don't think it added anything. In fact, I think it is measurably worse than the other two games, in part because of the style that they went for. I don't think that like a 3D brawler, I don't think that's an appropriate game style for South Park.
Yeah.
I think the last two were much better South Park games.
Agreed.
That said, I mean, it's fine. It has the South Park humor in there. It's funny. It's all toilet humor, obviously, and everything else. You at one point are collecting used condoms to replace the rubber, like the spring mechanism on a catapult. Like it's very it's very South Parky.
Yeah,
definitely makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird. It's inappropriate. It's weird. Whatever. The biggest problem with it, which I did not see many people talking about, at least not many reviewers, by far the biggest problem with it is that there is no crossplayer whatsoever, which means that Danielle had already pre-ordered it for the Xbox. And so she thought it was couch co-op. I didn't look into the game carefully enough to know one way or the other. Fire it up and like, no, it's not couch co-op. There's no local co-op whatsoever. So I was like, okay, fine, that's annoying, but like this is a game she's been looking forward to for a long time, and it's a multiplayer forward game. They're like, you really should play this with friends. You should have like a 4-person party. They put in shitty AI people for you and everything else, but you really should play it with multiple people. And so I was like, okay, I'll go down and I'll buy it on Steam and I'll play it on the computer and my intention was to play it on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Because that way she can play on the TV. I can be beside her on the couch. We can still play side by side.
Yep.
No. There's no cross play with Steam. Like, fuck you. If you buy it for Xbox, you can only play with other Xbox. So it's like, okay, so now what? I have to bring down like a separate TV and hook up the Series S, and like I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've played the game, but like for me, it gets 2 thumbs down because it's like you made a multiplayer forward game. And you made it hard to play multiplayer. Like, fuck everything about you.
And I could have swore when we first seen the initial trailers for this, I could have swore they said that there'd be like local, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just the local co-op and stuff like that.
I just assumed there would be. Like, how do you make a primarily multiplayer game without easy multiplayer?
And in this day and age where, you know, cross-platform isn't a thing, I mean... Like,
yeah, that's a huge failure.
It would be like Helldivers not supporting cross-platform.
Yeah.
It's like, why the fuck would you do that?
Like if you go back,
that's only 2 platforms, but still.
Yeah.
Wow,
but like even if you go back 5 years ago, it's more acceptable then. But like now, it's a given. Like games that weren't cross-platform before have changed things so that they are.
Yeah.
So
and
there's no excuse.
There is some argument that this is where live service games excel because they enable cross-platform. The ones that are sensible do, but you also don't need that in order to support. I mean, you need some live service, but you don't need specific. Even if it had just worked between Xbox PC and Xbox, that would have been good enough, but no, you can't even get it for Xbox PC.
What?
Yeah.
You can get it on Steam, but not Xbox PC. It's like, what? Why?
What?
So like, just that alone makes me say this game is not, it's not fit for purpose.
Yeah.
It's just annoying that that's even a thing. If you're going to make a game that is meant to be played multiplayer, you have to fucking make it playable multiplayer. How is that a hard thing to understand?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it sounds like somewhere on the line, someone had a stranglehold on what could and could not be done.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest problem with the IP is that they really set themselves up with like, considering how The Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole were received and they were praised just for the types of games they were. Yeah. They had a very high bar to set.
Yeah.
And this, based on the Metacritic scores alone, like the PC ones got 60 with an average user score of 5.6. And I think the highest critic review I've seen of something that I consider, you know, well known, because like a lot of these ones that are giving it 9 and 8, I'm just like, well, who the fuck are you?
That's what I mean by I think some people were paid off.
Yeah. But the highest one that I seen was PC Gamer, and they gave it a 69.
Yeah.
Nice.
Whereas IGN gave it a 3,
Ooh.
like a 30. So
look, the people who are shitting on it are being assholes. There's nothing wrong with the game except for the multiplayer aspect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's not what these people are talking about. They're not. I didn't see any of those reviews going into the multiplayer stuff meaningfully.
Yeah, like the IGN one touched on like how the bar was what I said about the bar being set, and this totally does not even reach that bar.
Sure. So, and I agree with that. But also, that's not a valid reason to dock the game huge points. Like, that's something you can say is like, hey, this is nowhere near as good as the last two. But also, as a game on its own, it's not a bad game. It's fine.
I think in series games, a lot of pitfalls are with reviewers is they're not looking at the game in isolation,
Right.
what they should be doing, at least in part, with any game
Yeah.
review.
Like, it's okay to give it a 6 or a 7 and say, but it's not like the other two.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's a decent game. Now, I'd probably give it like a 6-ish. If it had proper multiplayer, it'd be higher, but it's passable. There's nothing wrong with it. I saw some people talking about how buggy it was. I didn't really hit any particular bugs. And now maybe I just got lucky, but didn't really hit any.
Interesting.
It seemed like a perfectly serviceable game. It didn't need to be a South Park game, but I don't hold that against it.
Yeah.
So
if we were making the South Park game, the third one, what would we have done with a snow day theme then?
Oh, what they did with the theme was fantastic. They just needed to keep the 2D style of the last one.
So a brawler in 2D would have been fine, do you think?
What I would have done to keep with the South Park like theme would be start with the entire map snowed out and then like have to deliberately cause global warming through farting to warm up the map to clear it out. Like I think that would have worked for the South Park theme.
Yeah.
So that's what I would have done.
New guy, we need your power. You're the only one that can save us, new guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like they would have had to like convince a Taco Bell to come and just like, yeah, something like that. Because that's very South Parky, right?
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
And I think that could have worked great. But
accidentally set the school or something on fire trying to get warm. Yeah.
So it could have been better, but it wasn't that bad. Like it's a fine game. It's just it other than the multiplayer, which was stupid. They shouldn't have done that.
That's fair.
Or they should have made it playable multiplayer.
Yes. Yeah.
But on that note, I quickly wanted to bring up the rumors of Steam coming to Xbox. So we'll keep this. I'll keep this brief. Phil said Spencer. Yep. Yeah. I always want to call him Schiller because that's an Apple thing when I work. But anyways, he said in a recent interview, he basically hinted at, mused about the fact that the Xbox needed to be a more open system to continue growing into the future. And one of the things that he mentioned was things like Steam and good old games. Like at the end of the day, Xbox runs Windows. There's no reason that it shouldn't be able to run your Steam library.
Yep.
And so basically the internet took that and ran with it, which I think is probably largely fair. I think I've said several times that like, yes, there's no reason not to have Steam. Nope. There's no reason to not have the Steam Deck able to play your Xbox games and your Xbox play your Steam game. Like, why not?
Exactly.
There's no reason not to.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. And if I had to guess, they will bring the first thing that they do, because the important thing here was why it ties to the South Park is because you should be able to commingle your Xbox friends list with your Steam friend list.
Generally, the overlap is pretty much the same anyway, but there's no reason you can't do that.
Right. Well, so in this case, it would have allowed Danielle and I to play. Right. Like it would have solved the problem that I had. Right.
Yeah.
And my guess would be we'll see Xbox, like they've been musing about a handheld, but I don't think Microsoft desperately wants to get into that hardware space. I suspect one of the first things we'll see is an Xbox client coming to the Steam Deck, even just so you can play your PC games for Xbox, like your Xbox PC on Steam Deck with your friends list commingled, because that's a low surface content. Like if they screw that up a bit, there aren't that many Steam Decks out there that like it'll be a manageable PR thing. I suspect that's if I were them, that's where I'd start. And then once that worked and the integrations worked, then I'd.
Well, I mean, that would start off and probably be in a beta for a long time too. Before.
Yeah. So. Well, because it's mostly the friends list thing. Like, most of the games already work. Like, there's very little porting for most of those games. Like, the Steam Deck runs Windows games.
Yeah.
But the integration with your Steam friends versus your Xbox friends, that needs to work well. Yeah. So, it'd be in beta for a little while. But that's where I would start if I was them. So, my guess would be that we should see that sometime this year. And then my guess would be next year, you'll be able to probably start playing some of your Steam library on your Xbox.
That's great.
Earlier.
And they also...
Chad, I know, would like it because he prefers like sitting on the couch to play with the controller versus on the PC. So
They also, somewhat related, just on Wednesday, they started adding keyboard and mouse support to the Xbox Cloud Gaming,
Oh, nice.
which I'm excited about because
Just in time for Final Fantasy 14 online.
I mean, they probably had to for that.
Yeah.
For that alone.
So I'm excited about that because there are a bunch of games like, Graveyard Keeper and stuff like that that may be a bad example, but things that I would play on Xbox Cloud, but only if I had a keyboard and mouse. So.
Yeah. Cool. I finally got into some gaming.
Yeah.
It took forever, but my brain has been mostly on music. So instead of playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I ended up playing Hi-Fi Rush on PS5. It's basically the same game that I played on Xbox, but one thing I will say, I noticed a few review scores were giving it higher grades, not by much, but like a 0.5 higher on PS5 rather than an Xbox. And at first I was just like, well, that's fucking dumb, but I get it now. One, playing this on the DualSense is way better.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the DualSense controller. I prefer using it for that style of game. I like when it comes to the first person shooter stuff, like I like using my Elite controller, my Xbox Elite controller, sorry. But for this, I don't know what it is, but just playing this style of game with the PlayStation controller just felt a lot better. Also too, when I played this initially on the Xbox, I noticed huge latency issues.
Oh.
Like if I was sitting on the couch right in the middle, looking directly in the middle of the TV, there were substantial latency issues. And I looked it up, and there was a lot of people that were saying, "Oh, put your TV in game mode," blah 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 blah. And I did all that, but there were still latency issues. It wasn't until I put on headphones that they were gone. The PS5 has none of that. There's absolutely no latency issues whatsoever. I'm having no trouble with it playing without headphones.
Interesting.
So I don't know if it's like it must be an Xbox thing, because I've never had the latency issues that I've been having with Xbox on like PlayStation or PC. So that was the other thing too. But I'm digging it. I fucking love this game. Like it was one of my top 3 from last year. It just came out on PlayStation 5, so guess what? It's probably going to be in my top 3 from this year. It's such a fun game. The music, the combat, I'm digging it.
Yeah.
I really love it.
The visuals are so damn good.
So good. Voice acting is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a fun story. The combat is great, smooth, so.
Yeah, it's a cool game.
Yeah. And that's all I played.
I picked up a new game today, but first of all, Sarah.
Still in Stardew Valley.
Oh, God. Well, are you at least enjoying it?
I love it.
What new stuff have you played with?
So I don't remember if I mentioned it last week or not, but I found a rainbow at at the waterfall.
You definitely did not mention
that. I must have just told Danielle about it, but found a rainbow at the waterfall with a pot of gold at the end.
Nice.
And so you get a bit of gold for it and a leprechaun hat.
Nice.
So that's what I've been wearing for the last while. I've gotten a bunch of summer squash seeds and stuff. Like there's not a whole lot, because I started the new game. There's not like a whole lot of new things I've run into, or at least I don't realize that I've run into with it. So, but yeah, there's like, I've caught a couple, or at least one new fish, and found some like carrot seeds in the mines and stuff. So a few little things.
Have you checked into the multiplayer stuff at all yet?
No, I haven't. I actually should do that.
Yeah, we should at some point take a look at that. See if they've fixed any of the bugs, see what new stuff there is. Yeah, just check it out. The new game that I picked up just this afternoon, I've only played, I don't know, an hour maybe of it, but it's called Maniac, and it's sort of like a GTA, but like a primarily top-down GTA.
Oh, interesting.
Almost like the sort of original GTA, like the original GTA. You start the game playing like a drunk Santa that has nothing left to lose, and so you just like carjack and like get rocket launchers and shit. And the idea is just to stay alive until you're such a threat that they call in a nuclear strike on you.
Wow.
So it takes like the wanted level to a whole new paradigm there. But
Oh, shit.
it's stupid and fun. I've been playing it on the Steam Deck so far, and it works great. I haven't tried it on the gaming PC yet. I mean, running wise, it runs great on the Steam Deck. Control wise, I think it might be a little better on PC. But they did a great job with the gamepad controls. It has like auto aim and stuff to make it a bit easier.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was like $5. It's pretty new.
It came out March 28th.
Yeah. So that's like yesterday, today?
That's today.
That's today, okay.
As of recording.
I saw something on X about it, and I was like, that sounds kind of cool. So I checked it out. It's $5. Okay, bye.
Nice.
I mean, even the regular price Canadian is $6.50. So
yeah, exactly. So like super cheap. Definitely worth checking out if that sounds at all like your cup of tea. It's the physics are not right or anything else. It's stupid. Like you can drive cars underwater and shit. So it's like, don't expect any level of realism, but as just like a fun carnage fest, it's great. I love it.
Nice. Right on.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, while we were filming this, a sequel to a game that I really, really enjoyed from 2021 or 2022 called Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Night. A sequel was released. What's today?
This is the 28th.
It was released on the 25th. It's in early access on Steam called Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist. It's Metroidvania. The unique thing with this is there were certain enemies that you defeated and you use like their ghosts as your weapons.
Oh, okay.
It was really, really fun. I played it on PS5 and PC initially, and I had a blast with it. Really good Metroidvania, my kind of game. I just found out this is out, and I'm probably going to buy it.
Cool. There is I think we're basically at the end here. There is a slim chance that by the time this is posted, because we're filming Thursday instead of Friday, there may be news that comes out tomorrow, yesterday for those watching on Saturday, about Steam and Xbox. It sounded like there might be an announcement brewing there. If they do come out with something official, I'll probably do a separate little video on that. So that should be somewhere if that happens.
Just remember, you heard it here, 332nd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's a big deal if they actually announce it. So I'll probably do a separate video or a live stream or something about it. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, Sarah, anything else on your plate going on?
No, not really. No.
Right. Chad's going to play a new game.
Yeah, I will. So you all have fun during your egg hunts and enjoy this long weekend.
Happy Easter to everyone who does it. And
happy Easter.
You have a very appropriate hat for the day.
I do.
We love you all so much, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Toodles.